Hello. In today's session, we're going to be looking at notifications in detail. Notifications is a feature within Imigo that allows you to work with the data that you have put into various tabs in the system. We'll be looking at types of notifications, triggers, so things that automatically cause notifications to be sent, and how you can use them effectively. In today's training, I'll show you how you can set a notification up, who can get them, and we'll talk a little bit about what they're useful for. Notifications is the group name that we have given to messages, tasks, and reminders linked to something within Imigo. For example, cases, companies, applicants, suppliers, fees, or reports. You can access notifications in two different places within Imigo. You can either go into your notifications inbox by clicking on the icon over here or notifications up at the top and have a look at any messages, tasks, or reminders that have come in for you. Your notifications inbox will look like this, and you have the ability to filter and see only tasks or maybe messages come from a particular sender. When looking at your inbox, you'll see that there's the ability to open the notification, read it, reply to it if you'd like to, and then delete it. You can also link directly back into the object that the notification was set from. Alternatively, if you want to see the notification for a particular object, for example, a case that you're working on, you can simply open that case. I'm choosing one here for Sandra Sparkles. And once I'm in the case, or the fee or report for that matter, on the left-hand side, I'll be able to work my way down through the tabs and I'll see a little notifications on the left-hand side. Clicking that will take me into notifications and I will see an inbox at the top of any notifications that have been sent to me on that case and an outbox where I'll see anything that has been set and I'm able to create new notifications. Notifications can be individual, so on one case or one report, or we can set group notifications on several cases or several reports at the same time. We'll look at the difference between individual and group a little bit later. First, it's important to understand the different types of notifications and how they behave to use them effectively. So I'd like to look at the differences between a messages, a task, and a reminder. The names are clues as to how they work. A message is a one-off notification about something that has happened. Messages are designed to be read, replied to, and deleted. They won't repeat and they won't affect any process flow steps in Imigo. Generally, you'll be using this to tell someone about something that's happened or is going to happen. For example, an application has been filed or a case has been completed and is ready to close, like we can see in Sandra Sparkle's case over here. A message is very similar to a normal email, except it's automatically linked back into Imigo. It's secure. It can be set up in advance or be triggered by an event in Imigo and will be tracked within the Imigo object. I'm going to open up the window over here to show you the other message types. Over here, I can select a task, and a task is a notification which can be marked as started and done, and can also be set to repeat at various intervals. So, for example, you could remind a consultant to do a task by having a notification arrive in their inbox every day, which will only stop when they mark the task as done. Tasks should be used if you're asking somebody to do something. So, you could have a task set up to go out to your accounts team every time a fee in a case is marked as ready to invoice, saying, please go ahead and invoice the client. And that could go out every day, and they'll need to mark done to stop the task. Selecting a reminder over here means that you're choosing a notification which can be set to repeat, like an Outlook reminder. Unlike with tasks, there is no done option on a reminder, so it will repeat regularly until it's turned off. You'd use reminders to remind colleagues or yourself about recurring events like weekly conference calls or monthly reports you would want to pull. So for tasks and reminders, you can set up a repeat starting from the date and time the first task and reminder was set. Tasks can work back with the Imigo workflow, and messages are designed to be one-off notifications. All of these notifications will be tracked within Imigo. To set up a new task, message, or reminder is the same regardless of whether it is an individual one, so for one case or fee, or for a group of cases or fees. The difference is where you set it. So we can see here in a case where to do that, and the same pop-up window will show when we look at notification factories a little bit later on. The first thing you need to do here when you want to send a new notification is to choose your recipients. So who is going to get that? The To Individuals recipient box will contain the names of all your colleagues with Imigo accounts, as well as any additional users with access to the case, company, applicant, supplier, or report, whatever you're setting it on. You can control and select to choose more than one person at a time. The To Classes recipient box will be used for any group notifications. Choosing all consultants will send to everyone in your company with an Imigo account. All consultants on this case will send to everyone listed as a consultant on this account. So, for example, if you have a primary and a secondary consultant, you can choose this to automatically send to both of them. Choosing all users who can see this case means that the notification will go out to any Imigo users, including external HR and supplier contacts listed in the Users tab of the case. And finally, the applicant on this case would not be so useful for an individual notification, but more for factories when you're wanting to send notifications to each applicant on each case that you've selected. Okay, so we've chosen who's going to get the notification, and we know what type of notification we want to set, bearing in mind their slightly different behavior. Now let's tell Imigo when the recipient should get the note. You can set messages or tasks to be sent immediately or to be sent on a specific time and date, which you can choose from the calendar. So if I choose on date, a calendar option will show up here where I can choose a specific day and a time for the message to be sent. This is useful if you're wanting to track things like date of entry into a country where you know the date and you want to set a reminder for yourself to get a copy of the visa stamp or a message going directly out to the applicant asking them to provide that. The clever thing about messages and tasks is that they can also be triggered by a specific event, which you can choose by the drop down menu over here. So that when this event happens, your message or task is sent out to the person that you've designated. For example, once the case is completed, you may want a message to go out to your manager saying that this case is completed and they can go ahead and check your fees, for example. Choosing an event over here will mean that the message does not go out immediately. It will stay in the system and be stored here. And only once this event is happening within Imigo will the message be triggered out to send. So, for example, if I've set a message to be sent out at the point that the case is completed and I save it, I'm going to just write a message into here. I'm going to save that. And you can see the message over here waiting to be sent once the status has changed. If I would then go into the case and change the case status to case completed and save that, that message will go out. So the change of case status is the trigger that makes the notification go out to whoever my recipient is, either myself, a colleague, or an external contact with Imigo usage. Going back into the way to set it up, the next thing that we need to decide is how we want to send the notification. No email means that the message will not CC any external email address and will appear in the recipient's notifications inbox only, the one that we had a look at the beginning of the training. This is the most secure form of message, but it relies on the recipient being a regular Imigo user and logging in frequently. so is good for your colleagues who would be in Imigo most days. Selecting Notify Only means that the recipient will receive an email to his or her external email address, but it will simply contain a link to take them back to the secure message in Imigo. This may be used if the recipient does not frequently use Imigo, and it will prompt them to log in and read their messages. Choosing full text means that the recipient will receive an email containing a copy of all the text of the Imigo notification. All replies will also send a notification to the recipient's email address in Outlook or Gmail, but note this can only be used if they are set up as a user in Imigo. Messages sent within Imigo are very well secured and protected. Emails that go to external email addresses are usually not encrypted, so please bear that in mind when you're selecting your email option here. Finally, we saw that we can enter the text that we want to send in our notification over here, and then go ahead and save it. You can see that I've used some funny words over here. We're calling this variable expansion. You can use special words in the notification text that will be replaced. So, for example, in a message about a case, you can write applicant, which will be replaced in the actual notification with the name of the applicant on the case, in this case, Sandra Sparkles. Once I save it, the message will be in my case, ready to send at the point that I have chosen. You can see over here we've got a little bit of a help section. If you click on that, it will contain details about the different types of notifications, how they work, and it will also have a complete list of variables. The help menu can be opened and can remain open as a pop-up window while you're working in Imigo. So it may be helpful to do this when you're using variable expansions for the first time. There is a table of specific events that can automatically cause a notification to be sent in the user manual on pages 68 and 69. So you can have a look at this after the training and let us know if you want any help in setting any notifications up. There are a few specific triggers on the case level that I want to look at in detail because they can be extremely useful. The first one is issued document expiry soon. This can be set as a message or task to proactively alert a recipient when an issued document, like a work permit or a visa, is due to expire. How does Imigo know that's going to happen? Well, the notification will automatically send out either 6 months before the document expiry or however many months have been set for the renewal reminder in the issued document itself in the case. You will recall that there is that table, and if a document can be renewed, we do have a time frame there for the renewal. Sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes 2 weeks, and that is the point that Imigo will send you a reminder. Additional notifications will be sent as the expiry date approaches every month, and then every 2 weeks in advance, 1 week in advance, and then 1 day in advance, unless the message is deleted or if it's a task, it's been marked off as done. Another useful event that can trigger something in Imigo to happen is the fee ready to invoice. This also can be set as a message or task and will let the recipient know that a fee in a case is ready to be invoiced. It will also tell them if other fees on the case have reached or passed the ready to invoice stage. If the notification is a task, then marking it done will automatically update the fee in the case fees tab to invoiced. So every fee in the fee tab can have a fee status: approved, sent to client. And once you mark that as ready to invoice, if you've set up a notification here, it can send out to your accounts team. Your accounts team can then invoice the client, mark that task as done, and it will automatically update the fee within Imigo. Lastly, you can use tasks in combination with Step Can Start to create an interactive task list for yourself. If you set a task using the trigger Step Can Start, a task will be sent to the recipient whenever a step in a process flow can be started. So, for example, when any necessary pre-steps have been completed, like gather documents or file application. Marking the task as started will then automatically update the step in the Case Process tab as started. And marking the case as done will mark that step as finished and will send the recipient a new task for any subsequent steps. If we think about how this could work, you could set yourself an interactive task list on your case, log into your notifications inbox at the beginning and at the end of the day, and go through the tasks that have been set to you, work on your case, and then go back at the end of the day and mark those started and done that you have processed. That will automatically feed back into the Imigo process flow steps in each case without you opening the individual cases. There are many other event triggers here that can be used to make your life a lot easier. Have a look at the table and let us know if you'd like any more details on that. Okay, I want to look at factories in a little bit more detail. So factories are where we can set up notifications, tasks, messages, or reminders on a large scale. This is useful for things like setting notifications for all document expiry dates for a particular client, sending out emails on key milestones of a case, for example, application filed, to a manager or an HR consultant, and creating notifications to your accounts team for whenever fees are ready to be invoiced on any cases that you're processing. So to access notification factories, I've gone back to the notifications library by clicking on the notifications top menu bar item. And then I'm going to click Notification Factories. Here I'll see a list of any factories I or my colleagues have already set up, and I can go in and look at them or edit them. I can create a new notification factory by clicking on the plus New Notification Factory button. I will then be asked to select whether the notification should be about a group of cases, applicants, companies, suppliers, or questionnaires. The way you set them up and work with them is the same, but the available event triggers in your When drop-down menu will be different depending on which type of notification factory you select. Once you have selected a notification factory type, you can give that factory a name and description. The name is compulsory, the description is optional. These items will feed through to the table in the notifications library to allow you to quickly identify existing notification libraries. You should also select here, using the Action menu, which cases or applicants you want the notification you create in this factory to apply to. Apply to Future Only means that the notification will apply only to cases and applicants created after this factory is made. Apply to Existing Only means that the notification will apply only to cases or applicants created before this notification factory was created, so to this point. Applying to both future and existing means all cases and applicants, both those currently in the system and those that we'll add after we make the factory. And then finally, apply to none except via questionnaires means that the notifications will not be sent until this factory is triggered. This is used to set up factories for notifications triggered by questionnaires, and the way that these two features can work together is relatively complex. I'm not going to go into it in detail on this training, but let us know if you would like to have any additional information on how questionnaires used by your clients can work together with notification factories. I'm now going to save my ABC cases factory, and I'm going to go into the filters down on the left-hand side to configure the factory. So like reports, I can now filter down what I want to have this particular notification be about. So for example, if you wanted to have messages or tasks about document renewals for a particular client sent to one consultant within your team, this is where you can set that up. I could choose ABC as the only company that I want this to apply to. If I leave it blank, I will apply to everything. Note that you can create multiple notifications in a single factory. So for example, once you've set your filters to make the factory send notifications on a particular group of cases, for example, ABC, you can set as many types of notifications as you like on that group. So you can organize client-specific triggers and emails here. Once a notification factory has been created, and you can set up the new notification in the same way that we did when we're looking at the individual notification. Copies of this notification will then be viewable in each relevant case or applicant, in this case, all ABC cases. Edits and tweaks for that specific case can be made in the relevant notifications tab on that object. So if someone should not get one of the messages because it doesn't apply to them, it can be deleted in the case. One question that we've had come up frequently is how to make a task or reminder stop repeating. In order to make them stop repeating, one of the following must be done. For a task, the task should be marked as done within it. I'm going to go back into my notifications inbox and show you where you can do that on a task. Once I mark a task as done, it will not repeat. Alternatively, the repeat option on the original notification, which is sending out the task, should be set to no repeat in the pop-out window. So rather than selecting repeat every day until done or repeat every 2 weeks until done, no repeat should be what you select in the when drop-down menu. Or the event that's triggering the notifications should cease to exist. So for example, if you have a task set on a passport expiration date, and you go in and reset that passport expiration date for 10 years in the future because the applicant has got a new one. Or finally, the original notification, which is sending out the task or reminder, should be deleted. That's not the task or reminder necessarily that you're seeing within the case or the inbox. If it's coming from a factory, it won't stop until the factory is deleted itself. Reminders which are set to repeat have no done option, and so they will repeat until the original notification, not just the resulting reminder over here, has been deleted from the place it was set up originally. As a tip, in the factories, if you want notifications for cases that are active only, you can use the case status filters and do not select closed, completed, or cancelled. This will mean that the notification applies only to cases that are active. Don't do this for document expiration factories if you want to set up something as a reminder, because you'll want to get reminders about both closed cases and active cases. If you want to edit a notification, so for example, a different colleague needs to be notified about document renewals for a particular case, you can do that within the individual notification for that specific object in the Notifications tab, or if you want to make a change at a group level, you can do that in the notification factory, which is generating that notification. Remember that if you delete a notification factory, all the associated notifications for cases, applicants, fees in that factory will be deleted on the case level too. However, the other way round, you can delete the individual notifications from the individual cases in their notification tabs without affecting the wider factory. So if I delete this from Tony's case, it will not affect the factory and not affect any notifications for any other ABC employees. We've talked briefly about notification types, messages, tasks, and reminders, where you can access them, the fact that you can set them up on an individual basis, so for one case or one fee, or you can set them up by using the notification factories for many cases or many fees, many objects all at the same time. Let us know if you have any questions or if you have any challenges that you've been working with when trying to use this feature. Please join us for our next Imigo training. which will be about creating template processes. So if you have a case and you do not have an Imiguru process flow, you would like to create a process flow of your own, we'll look at how to do that in the next session. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye-bye.